Justin Trudeau's double standard tour doesn't go as planned. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. It was supposed to be a tour that would rehabilitate his image, one that would chip away at the idea that Justin Trudeau was a spoiled, elite millionaire playboy hanging out on private islands with billionaires, accepting gifts he shouldn't have. Now, while we saw big crowds and adoring fans, the truth is Trudeau wound up insulting many of those fans. He made silly statements, and the tour is just as likely to be remembered for gaffes as anything else. Here's the thing, though. The tour's only halfway through. He's done Ontario and Quebec, Atlantic Canada, still has to do the prairies and British Columbia. But here's a few highlights that Team Trudeau wished we wouldn't remember. Highlight number 1, telling an English-speaking woman in Sherbrooke, Quebec, who asked about mental health services not being available for the English-speaking minority, that he would answer her question in French because he was in Quebec.
I would really appreciate your comments on this subject.
Merci. Thank you. Si vous permettez, je vais répondre en français pour que tout le monde puisse entendre. Merci de votre utilisation de nos deux langues officielles au pays. On est au Québec, donc je vais répondre en français.
In fact, Trudeau did that 5 more times. He answered all 6 English questions, including 2 from immigrants who were speaking broken English and not able to speak French. He answered them all in French. The Ontario-born and raised Trudeau loves to call himself a Quebecer, and then turned around and said, A, he's defending official bilingualism, and B, was surprised that there's so many English questions in Sherbrooke. Really? Is this his first trip to the Eastern Township, an area with a huge English population? That'd be like showing up in Northern Ontario and being shocked to find people speaking French. But while Trudeau said he defends official bilingualism, he also defended answering Anglophones in French because he says he has to defend French in Quebec.
I will always defend official bilingualism. I believe deeply in it, but I also understand the importance of speaking French, of defending the French language in Quebec, and that is something I will continue to do while respecting minority language rights across the country.
Alrighty, how is that defending bilingualism? You know, Liberals used to complain when Conservative ministers would tweet in English or French only. There was even a tongue lashing of this practice from the Commissioner of Official Languages. Well, now Trudeau is facing 3 official complaints to the Commissioner of Official Languages over his bizarre performance in Sherbrooke. And now the new Commissioner, Ghislaine Selecki, who used to help the last Commissioner, Graham Fraser, harass flight attendants, store clerks in Ottawa, civil servants across the country. She'll now have to examine the actions of the PM. Add that to the news that came out during the tour that Trudeau's the first PM in history to be investigated by the Ethics Commissioner. All of this over a free trip. I'm betting that Team Trudeau wished they'd stayed home or gone to Davos. What else did Trudeau do that was memorable on this Please Love Me tour? Well, he claimed to understand the immigrant experience because his grandfather on his mother's side was an immigrant. It's true. Jimmy Sinclair came to Canada from Scotland in 1911 at the age of 3. He made a fortune as a business executive, served 18 years as a Liberal MP, so typical, or not. He also blamed high hydro prices that an Ontario woman complained about on our dependence on oil. Said he couldn't do much about it because it was provincial jurisdiction. And then he turned around and said Canada needs to phase out the oil sands and the oil industry, which is provincial jurisdiction. So he simultaneously annoyed Ontario voters concerned about crazy rates they're being forced to pay, the energy poverty that Trudeau's friend, Ontario Liberal Premier Kathleen Wynne, is causing due to her policies, and he also annoyed voters in Alberta and Saskatchewan who rely on the oil industry for their livelihood by saying, I want to shut down your jobs. This was supposed to be a tour that showed him as being in touch, connected with the middle class and those working hard to join it. Instead, this tour just confirmed that Trudeau is extremely out of touch, that when taken off script, he's a hazard to his handlers, that when it comes to the current concerns of ordinary Canadians, he's just way in over his head. But then again, if you've been paying attention to Trudeau for the last few years, you already knew that. Make sure you never miss a Rebel video again. Click here to hit subscribe for our YouTube channel or head on over to the Rebel.media and become a member, and you can access premium content only available to the cool kids.